But we're getting loaded in. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch these guys. Again, there's 3 weeks of these Pro League qualifiers. This is week number 1. Taking the first place spot is going to put you miles ahead of the competition and obviously get you that much closer to securing your Pro League spot, something every team playing in this tournament absolutely wants. For Hive not to be a Pro League team, it'd be weird, but honestly, they're on track to do so. But it's going to be some stiff competition versus gods. And let's get into it, Colin. Hey, man, I'm so excited to cast some gears, baby. It's been too long.
I am chomping at the bit, and I like this already. We're going to see a 3-man push up top by Hive. They're going to try to settle this top side of the map. They want these angles. They want to be able to cross out that 4th member. TJ's got a lot of damage out already. And look at the step back. That's exactly what I was talking about as we got into this matchup. You're not going to just be able to up-A everything, maybe even try to reaction shot. Somebody's going to be able to step off. And INZEM, he said old tricks still work for these new dogs. And he gets that first wrap shot of the game. But Reflame shuts him down before he can go for that triple cap domination.
Got a bit scary for Gods off the rip. Hive, they were coming out the gate swinging, and it looks like Gods now trying to establish a foothold, going for the Oe if they can. It's going to be a 2v1. Reflame's going to go ahead and handle, looks like Noey very easily, as that's going to be 3 down. INZEM last up. Now, of course, just quickly to recap, man, there's been a lot of changes. As I said, 4v4 now. Both home hills are going to be capped off the rip. What else can we be expecting?
Well, what I want to say is I love what Gods has done. They've actually pulled back a little bit to a little bit of safer position. INZEM actually catches him slipping. There's no way Reflame should die right there. And the way this is back and forth, nobody's able to get this set up and nobody's able to get this really under their feet and play some defense. It's just basically, you cap 2, now I'm going to cap 2 off of the respawn. They really need to make sure that they settle in here. If I'm Hive, you need to make sure that you get these 2 hill caps and then just sit back, use your Lancer angles, and try to get damage on somebody like Crabyys. Now you see Force, he's going to come into it, up A out, we'll get that first kill. 2 more members though of Gods are going to rotate in. Reflame's down, great Lancer angle. Look at the way that Snubfire is just putting the damage on him, putting him on the back foot. I love to see this setup, but they're going to finally get TJ out, but here comes the break. They're going to go straight for the home hill.
Now you got play number 2 is going to really have to hold his own. That's going to be INZEM. Lancer fire out, drops Addvers, and I don't know how many downs he's actually had. I think he's going to be finished off, and now it's going to be a 1v1. Crabyys caught out in the open, forced to back off, a bit weak. INZEM just up there is going to be able to snub him out, and he will drop. So a good hold from Hive. Got a bit scary in that mid-game, but it looks as if they're going to be okay right now. Of course, respawn's not a factor anymore, right? You continue to respawn as much as you can. So Gods, I think they're going to continue to try and give it a good go, and it looks like they're doing a good job as they do, in fact, capture neutral.
They're going to be trying to take back, but they got the 1 down. They don't even go for the cap. They know they got to try to get these kills to not allow Hive to really settle in and try to win the rest of this round. 25 seconds to go. They need to get another break at the home hill of Hive. TJ is going to be fighting 1. Meanwhile, there's going to be another fight going down at the home hill. Addvers is going to get that break, and look at this. Noey is stuck over to B. INZEM's trying to gain a little bit of that attention on the opposite side of the map, trying to make things just that much harder. This is the fight that's going to be big, though. Right here at the B hill, Noey gets 1 shot on. Little Rhodey Strafe comes out, but he finally goes down. 10 seconds left. Multiple hills decap. This is going to come down to the wire. INZEM hits 1. Rhodey Strafe out. He needs to hit another. There's the down. There's the out. He will get this hill back in his favor, and that should be enough to clinch this round, ladies and gentlemen. Hive come away with round number 1.
And ladies and gentlemen, this is how close the rounds are going to be consistently. I guarantee you 4v4 has really made this incredibly fun to watch. Fact of the matter is, look, you lose a teammate, you're going to be in some dire straits. And that was only round 1, but it lasted 3 minutes. And, you know, honestly, in those 5v5, sometimes these rounds could be incredibly quick, just over in 30 or so seconds. But you saw how hard it was for Hive to get that domination, right? Because they pushed in. They were going in for the domination, but Gods was able to push them back. Of course, Hive holds on at the very end, but it wasn't easy by any means. Bold talks are back, and it's going to be fun to see how those are going to have an effect, especially as these teams try to lock in a neutral gate.
Shit kicking time. These things just don't have an effect, all right? Look, that's the number 1 reason we didn't see them, because we had to go ahead and put some kind of rule in place to make sure they weren't all over the place, is that they're basically small mini cannons. And look at Crabyys. No fear comes straight through the flash and gets that dash in that first. And the second kill. Off to the races. Maybe going for this triple cap domination. Noey trying to make something happen. Top of the winch, but shut down once again. I like what Solurs is doing. He tried to delay that as much as possible. Still going to get cleaned up, though. And Hive, they're back off spawn, but they need to be careful. TJ's going to get angled out here in the next 3 to 5 seconds. He's going to be pinched He didn't make a decision quick enough. Gets rotated and flanked on Absenz. He's going to threaten this triple cap domination. And as long as that first round was, this second round might be quick as a hiccup.
I think it might be. As Solurs drops, that's going to be it. God's going to secure the domination. It looks like they have a very quick answer, as you said, much faster than round number 1, 3 minutes, 54 seconds. And Gods will answer back to tie it up 1-1. Crabyys popped off, like you said, going through that flash. It's good to see him coming back. He feels confident with this roster. I'm telling you, he did not look good on the Elevate roster, but maybe we'll see a little bit more from him as he's playing with these guys on Gods. Maybe he's just a little bit more comfortable. Talon's out. Oh, watch out. Got Boltox and Talons. Things are about to get dirty.
Well, I want to see what happens with the fact that nobody really got a chance to pick those up coming into that initial, and Gods really came away, I believe, 3-1. They didn't lose anybody off of that first fight, and then they ended up winning the fight down there at the dock. They need to be able to slow this down. INZEM drops that flash and backs up, but he's bricked out right now. If he goes down again early, that's going to be another good kill for them. But INZEM, that's a great rotation. Noey up top is keeping himself alive for quite some time. Absenz bouncing back and forth. TJ is going to be able to go for the revive. This will settle things up. I want to see them pinch the guy out at B, which they already are doing. They get the down. They get it down up top as well. They're going to have 2-1 hill control. Slow this bad boy up. Assert your dominance a little bit. Try to work away at the will, because something else that everybody needs to take note of, there's no more respawn bank, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to die 105 million times, go right ahead, be my guest.
I mean, you know what? You can be on the edge of winning, but just those constant respawns makes it that much harder. And for Hive, they're going to go in and back off. You know, a smart decision. I'm okay with that. TJ was kind of coming in. I thought he was going to maybe pinch the team of Gods with INZEM. He ends up backing off, no worries, as Gods looks to establish a foothold. Up top, Crabyys handles two. That's going to be Noey and TJ going to the wayside, as he's going to be able to go ahead and go for that overextension. INZEM now looking at a potential 1v2. It's going to go ahead and finish off one player down low. And Hive is going to be able to break out of their spawn, but not without loss. Now they're going to lose the neutral, and God's going to be able to start closing out that deficit.
Absenz top of that middle winch now. He's got some members of Hive trying to push at him. One of them actually flies through. TJ knows that next flash is coming, so he pushes through it, tries to get that first shot on, and that's a great job. They're going to be able to get this break if they can get the Lancer angles into B, but it looks like they're going to rotate multiple members down. Meanwhile, INZEM, he's just trying to information gather. He said, look, they're coming off a respawn. Let's figure out what we're going to do. Also, if you want to know why they rotated people down to Noey, that Talon was playing Guardian Angel at the B hill, and if you press the Talon 1v1, all you're going to do is give yourself a one-way ticket back to respawn. That's why they got somebody else into the fight. TJ gets one, though. Huge kill. Goes to the reaction.
Wow.
Doesn't get it on Absenz. He gets shut down. Here comes Noey into the fight. Maybe he can pick up another one, but Absenz just going to have to rotate over. Maybe even go for this revive, but there's the suicide hour. Noey finishes him off. Absenz, good hold by him.
Contact!
He's got a tough fight against INZEM. Lancer's out. Absenz going to get dropped, and unfortunately, it was just a bit too much distance to cover. Now Solurs going to be in a 1v2 over there on Bravo, and it looks like Break is already going to be there, but the scoreline's very close. The dog is coming through, and Hive still has that lead. Gods, they're going to start getting desperate, but I don't think they have a foothold here. It looks like TJ's going to go in and clean up one. That's going to be Addvers. The second one might fall, but either way, Gods, just a little bit too much ground to cover. I think this is going to be the end of round 3.
Looks like it's really ticking down to it. Less than those 3 seconds. Still have their home under their control. That's going to be it. We're going to see a little bounce fest out. Hive take that 2-1 advantage going in to the 4th round. And now here comes the real question, because I've gotten to see some of the way that these initials have played out in a lot of these scrims, and people have really leaned on those extra pistols than those utilities coming out, because everybody has a flash coming out of spawn now. You don't have to worry about placing those down for somebody to be able to pick up. Do you upgrade? What do you do? Where do you go from those pistols? Do you go for a power weapon? Immediately Hive goes for the Talon. And now we've got double retros, and that's just fantastic to see.
Yeah. It's a lot of firepower on the map, right? And a lot of angles, too, where those retros and Boltox are going to be very useful. You were just pointing out the Talon earlier, right? You really can't force that because it's kind of, you know, going into a death wish. Regardless, though, we'll have the 3v3 over at Winch. Craby's going to be leading the charger straight into TJ. TJ's been playing this angle so very well, and right there, exemplified, goes in, gets the 2-piece, and even gets the 3 as Absenz will fall. And I got to say, Colin, Hive has been pretty much unmatched off these initials. Granted, Gods, yeah, they did in fact win in, what, 50 or so seconds in that second round. But honestly, from round number 1 to round 3, they've been looking so good. Crabyys tries to get it going, but just can't. That's going to be a Hive round. But again, Hive's initials, man, in what, 2 rounds to make that the 3rd round? I mean, they've really been unmatched by Gods.
I'm going to go ahead and give somebody a lot of credit on that team named Hive. TJ, to me, is one of the best players, and he has been since he got onto the circuit with a team in Nimbus because he had people around him that he trusted and he loved. TJ got real good at minor adjustments from round to round. The round that Gods won in 50 seconds that you harken back to, the last 2 rounds, Hive has known kind of what their trump card is, what their ace in the pocket is, and that's trying to fly through that flash. So what you see Hive doing to counter it is throwing an early flash and a late flash. The early flash is in case it gets there just right in time. It'll stop you from up A&B at the winch. The late flash is to keep you stunned. Those little minor adjustments from round to round is what's going to give Hive the chance to get back into the Pro League. And it's going to be on the back of somebody like INZEM, like TJ, making those minor adjustments to win those initials at the different parts of the map.
Already a great initial coming out for the boys on Hive. They're going to lock in that neutral. Obviously, Home Hill already in possession. Look at him trying to pinch in now. Addvers, he's going to drop. Crabyys now is up. He's got to pull off some heroic plays at this point, but the Lancer fired too much, and the meat shield comes into play. Reflame can't get a touch. Can be a quick 4-1. Mind you, this is, in fact, Gon's map pick, one they wanted to start this off with. In the previous 2 rounds now have been under a minute and a half in total. TJ is playing so well. You highlighted him, and I wanted to ask you, playing with the squad such as UYU, with absolute legends on that roster, obviously being led by the coach of Ashes as well, I mean, it only seemed to have made him better.
One of the things that you can never take away, and this goes against, like, I mean, this is true against all sports, all esports, no matter what it is. If you have proven championship caliber talented players around you, you don't even have to play that well. You just have to sponge. You have to take everything in. It would be like being the backup to a Tom Brady or sitting behind a Michael Jordan and being able to study his moves on the court. You just learn how to mirror those ideas, mirror that work ethic and those shots, and you can come away with some greatness. TJ, he came away with a drop shot right there with that little roadie strafe and a quick turnaround. But Addvers is trying to shut him down. TJ calls him out, though. Beautiful turn and burn by TJ on that one.
Oh, my Lord. TJ cannot be stopped. Now, granted, INZEM's right behind him whenever it comes to the overall KDA. But that quick pick was just great, man. TJ, no fear. But, you know, it was that added flashes, the added utility, right, that is now automatically on the inventory. And Gods really just couldn't make that push. And that was just a good pick overall. Either way, drop shot doesn't have too much of an effect. But regardless, though, Hive is going to be sitting pretty. I like the fact they backed off, right? What have we seen in the previous couple of rounds? They've been pushing in, trying to go for the domination. They felt this wasn't their moment to take that. But either way, they've netted themselves a 40-point lead. They have map positioning, and Gods now has to figure out a way to break the defensive setup.
What they have to do here is Gods are going to throw those smokes. They're going to try to either rotate straight through or maybe try to get around. Solurs gets the call out. There's the easy mark. I love the way Solurs has set up here. He's got a long-range angle, and let's not forget, look, I don't want to make his ego any bigger, but as Solurs was on that envious team with Franchise being coached by Ryan Fools, and they were the gods at setups. If you could actually have a Lancer that worked in Gears 4, I don't know if they'd have lost a map, let alone a round. Solurs, he remembers those teachings. He knows how to take those long angles, get that Lancer to really work for him. I know that man is probably hearkening back to all those drills and all those days sitting alongside the likes of Franchise and Ribs and Ryan and Praise, like, all right, this is what we got to do. This is how we set up. This is how we strangle people out.
About strangling out. Look at this point lead from Hive, edging closer and closer to the 250 mark. Now, icing on the cake is the fact that player 2, right, INZEM is already over on the home hill of Gods. They knew, or he knew, I should say, the Gods could be battling really hard for this drop shot. And you know what? They may get away with that neutral, but they're not going to get away with the overall map presence. Too much ground to cover. D is going to stay in the possession of Hive, and there's no way player 7 can get over there in time. As a matter of fact, he's already battling against INZEM. It's going to be a 5-1 victory. Hive, for the first map that we have seen in well over a month, will come out with a dominating win. 5-1, they lead 1-0.
It's a fantastic job. Look, it came down to initials. I knew Harbor was going to be very initial heavy. You either have a chance to push up and go for those overextensions in that triple cab domination, or You can see what Hive just did right there, where they set up, used those angles, and absolutely got such a massive point lead that all you can do if you're gods is push against a concrete wall. Hive looking fantastic after map number 1.
DJ 15 and 12, INZEM 15 and 11. Very, very impressive stuff. You know, what really took me, again, I go back to it, was those initials. TJ was just slaying out, right? And no one could really stop him. Teamwork was great. Hive, you know, off that round 1, it was a bit, you know, a little bit messy. Yeah, they took the round. They went for the overextension. They tried to get the domination, trying to assert their dominance over gods. You know, ended up getting pushed back. Mid-game was kind of, you know, back and forth. In the end, Hive ended up taking it. Round number 2, I should say, you know, gods came out. Very quick round. I thought, hey, man, they got some new life. It's going to be a close map. But after round number 2, Hive just didn't look back. They just looked so solid, so good. And despite the heroics of Crabyys on gods, man, it just wasn't enough. I got to say, Hive they just looked solid. You know, this roster was really excited to watch them, and seeing them get that 5-1 victory over rosters such as gods, man, just makes me that much more excited.
I really am just absolutely beside myself with the way that Hive looked in that first map. You take a look at these highlights. You look at the way that gods really spent a lot of the time playing from behind, kind of playing off their back foot. And that's just a sign, I would say, of the times. Hive has kind of, I don't want to say a step ahead of them, but they really look like they understood how 4v4 is going to work out more and how those initials have to be played out a little bit better. A lot of the times what you'll see, especially with amateur teams, is you'll have people kind of play 4v4 as if it was 5v5 without an extra man in a lane, if that makes sense. Right. Whereas Hive said, look, it's 4v4. Let's send 3 to a specific area. Let's overload one side of the map because we know the Lancer angle, the dominant side of that map, will allow us to get those extra lane coverages. So let's go for this. Let's overload it. And you saw that's what their plan was, and they executed it to perfection. So gods going into this second map, they're going to have to make adjustments themselves. You got to figure out where those initials are, that head-to-head fight, those spearheads of your pushes. And on a map like Foundation, I'll be definitely curious if it plays out a lot like Gears 4 did, where it's that initial down in that mid-cut area where that mid-box is. You're going to be having a lot of flash, a lot of cross, what it might be, maybe even inside of the cave, playing over that B-hill very first and foremost. So I think this is just going to be a really interesting tale of the tape. Tells me where teams are going forward.
I want to watch that mid battle, really hone in on that. As you said, that's kind of what sets the pace for the overall round. TJ and Crabyys, I love watching them battle against each other. There was a couple of times Crabyys got the better of TJ, but for the most part, TJ was getting the better of Crabyys, or really anybody that they kind of ran into. They just had more consistency overall. You mentioned, Colin, given the fact that, you know, in 5v5, you know, you play a lot different than you do in a 4v4 aspect, right? Individuality really doesn't take you as far as it did in the 5v5. Popping off by yourself is cool and needed too, especially if you're going to be, you know, that one person who's going to be on the outside, splitting yourself from the other 3 who are maybe trying to go for an OE or lock in the neutral, or, you know, fight for the power weapon like we saw in the final round for the drop shot. But God's going to have to find a way to really come together. Hive, as you said, man, I mean, it just seems like everybody knew what their role is, where they needed to go, and kind of how they fit into the cog of the machine. Whereas Gods, you know, a lot of individual talent, but where were they at on the team-based fights? We didn't see a lot of that, aside from, you know, Crabyys popping off here and there. Really didn't see much. So we're going to have to see a lot more from them, especially if they want to be, you know, secure their spot as a Pro League team.
I mean, I look at it like this. Gods just didn't adjust like a classic good boxer. Sure. If somebody's keeping you a distance with the jab, you got to cover your face. You got to inbox a little bit. You got to get close to him. You got to cut him down like a tree. Hive said, all right, you're one trick pony. You're going to throw your flash. You're going to try to get right up into my grill and up aim me off the initial. TJ, you saw him and INZEM start taking that mid cover, maybe even taking a step off of their cover, letting them go ahead and up A into him. This next map is going to tell me a lot about God's future, because one of the things that they did not do in map 1 was adjust. They let Hive just keep that jab on him. They said, we're just going to keep breaking you down, and we're going to make sure that you don't have any chance in hell if it goes to the scorecards. Now in map 2, Gods needs to come out of their corner with a haymaker punch. They need to figure out where that side of the map is, especially if it's on Foundation and it plays out a lot like it did in Gears 4. Take control of the mid-cut, go into B, dominate it, and then force them back into that little hallway that you call a spawn on Foundation. That's the only way they're going to be able to come back into this, because they lose map number 2, or they start losing round number 1 and map number 2, it's going to be bad news bears.
Saw a lot of Bulltucks, saw a lot of Talons. They had some impact on Harbor. I think we're going to see much the same too going into Foundation. As far as other power weapons go, Long Shot, I think it's going to see maybe a resurgence. Torque Bow, right? We see that quite a bit. Drop Shot comes into the mix, especially over there at Pistons. Normally is going to be the fight for that. It's just going to make that mid fight that much more important. I can't wait to see. I want to see a competitive series. I really do. I don't want to see a blowout, especially since earlier we got a forfeit. So I want tonight to be extended a little bit longer than just a hot 2-0 leading into grand finals, which, by the way, whoever has to play against Fire and Ice, I think that's going to be a great series regardless. But we're loading into Foundation. It's been a while, man, since we've seen this map competitively, but it's going to be a lot of fun to see it right now. But as you mentioned, round one is going to really tell the tale of who is going to be able to take this victory.
Look, part of me feels like I stepped into a time machine, and I wish I had just stepped back out in 2018. All right, I'd have 2 years to be ready for what was coming. You know what I'm saying, baby? But now you're going to see INZEM go immediately into that mid-cut. Crabyys trying to get the down on INZEM, trying to get him before he even gets into the cave. Absenz just down one. INZEM's in there now. Absenz goes for the little wrap shot. Won't be able to get it now. He's going to be able to answer back out in the mid-cut, but Addvers has his head kind of stuck down behind that T-table from up top with that angle. Solurs, full red, throws a flash. All he's going to be able to do is back A, try to get some damage on both of these players. Maybe even try to get it down. A couple of bricks come through, but he ain't built no houses right now. Those two players, Reflame, and I couldn't tell who the other one was. It's going to be Crabyys, are going to have to rotate back down into the cave, back down to B Hill. Crabyys, I mean, cleaning up the dishes with a mop at that point.
And bit of a whiff, but no, he will fall. I thought Crabyys was going to meet his demise there. And Gods hasn't looked back. This initial has been all them, and they are starting to tighten that vice grip now. Solurs in a very bad position, getting shot by Lancers, getting shot by the shotty up close. INZEM now just going for a touch. He'll get it and gets the kill onto Crabyys. The Lancer fire from the far. It's just going to be like marshmallows touching him. So Hive will stay alive. Noey now trying to clutch up, stay up, Reflame there with the pressure, but either way, Gods are still thriving. They've got a decent-sized point lead, and Hive is struggling just to get out of their spot.
And this is one of those things where this is what I was talking about. You see how Gods are set up at the home hill of Hive. They're not letting them get back into this, go for that decap. They're giving up the B hill because they know they've still got the home-to-home stretch. They're going to have the point advantage. They're going to have point lead. They can make them suffocate out of their spawn and just keep sending resources back to that home hill. They can keep getting kills. But finally, Hive, they're going to break out. A couple of kills at the home hill. One here at that trail, right there at that ramp to get down to B hill. And now you see what's left of Gods are going to try to stack up here at their home hill. It's going to be Crabyys and Reflame. INZEM comes in for the up A, doesn't catch anybody slipping and get the kill, but they're going to get some downs. One more on each player, and I believe you're going to have a 3 down and out situation. They're going to go wide, try to rotate out here. Noey down. INZEM full red. He's down. They're going to clean him up. And now Gods can push right back out into the fight.
Man, you know, I'm impartial to whoever takes the victory. I really am, right? There's some rosters that I want to watch more than others, but regardless, though, I was very excited to watch these two rosters because I'm invested in a couple of players. I've just kind of been watching them ever since Challenger Series now over to the Pro League Qualifiers, the Pro League, and Majors. But for Gods, if they would have lost that in a way of a domination and Hive would have taken that, it would have been kind of heartbreaking, right? Because it would have showed there's a lot of mechanical errors that they have, a lot of issues on that roster. So it's very nice to see Gods, you know, just hanging on and having a chance to still win. Now, granted, though, Hive is still very much so in it. Player 4 is going to be by himself, kind of going for that challenge. Going to be Absenz. He knows he needs to get a touch to points. Too close, and we'll catch INZEM from the back. So it is going to be Gods locking in A and locking in this round. But for a slight moment there, Colin, I thought they were going to lose it.
Got a little shaky, got a little scary. You see the break is going to come through a B, but that ain't no big thing because now you see it over 247. Nobody at the home hill to try to get that decap. That's going to be all she said and wrote. That gives me hope for Gods, but here comes the real test. Because if Hive makes any kind of adjustments and they win the initial here, I don't want to say deja vu, but deja vu, baby. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's going to be bad. Because I'm just gonna be seeing shadows and demons for the side of Gods. I'm not going to need anybody to tell me this is looking bad because I'm going to be like, boys, I done seen this story. I've seen it like I've seen Cinderella, like I've seen Snow White. I mean, when you got a baby daughter, you got to watch all them Disney movies about 455 million times. I've seen them enough. I was going to say, so.
I know you have, man. You've probably seen about every Disney movie there is to know.
Hey, yo, if I hear Let It Go one more time.
Well, hey, man, hey, even the producer is feeling sympathetic towards you, man. Bull Talks are out. I knew they'd be coming. I'm sure Talons will be there eventually as well. Bit of a standoff, though. That mid-battle not underway. Both teams kind of taking their time going.
Well, they knew what happened last round, and there's the mid-round adjustment. Already Addvers did not get to take that top table control and Lancer down. They actually Lancered him out. Couple of nerdy angles come through. They get a kill on him. They get a kill on Absenz now. In that B fight, they're going to angle a couple of different players from Gods out, and it's going to make this initial go the way of Hive pretty easily and pretty dominatingly. People are going to have to come off a respawn. That's going to be Addvers back off a respawn first and foremost. You see how Hive backed up, took the damage angles, triple cap domination coming your way, and
Hey, look, don't call it too early, man. It's just one round, okay? It's just one round. We're tied up 1-1, but you mentioned it, right? Going back to Harbor. Why was Hive doing so well? Well, it was because of their adjustments. They were able to adjust very, very well to what Gods was throwing at them. And well, winning the second round does show that, hey, maybe they are making an adjustment. You just pointed that out too, that mid-round adjustment that you got really excited about. Man, Gods, I think they're still in it. But granted, though, Hive just won a very clean round, whereas Gods in round number 1, it wasn't clean at all, even though they got the victory. So round number 3, let's see how it goes. Talons are down.
Talons, Voltox, like we saw on that first map, already down for both teams. Now you see Reflame. He's going to flash out, try to get in there, but he goes down. I don't know if they're going to be able to clean him up yet. Absenz pushing in. He's going to throw right at Noey. He's going to try to get right up into Noey's grill. He's going to say, "What you cooking, baby?" And Noey says, "I'm cooking you, good sir." He flapped him on with some bacon. He said, "I'm going to get this back going, baby." But up top, Crabyys shuts down that top table control. 2-1 hill advantage over to Hive, but Crabyys is full ready. He has to sit down. Look at the rotation all the way around the backside, and that's the little down angle from Solurs. Look at the way that Lancer Fire comes in handy. Absenz trying to fight back off his spawn. 1FA is going to be successful. Now flashes out and reflections. This ain't, I'm not saying this ain't looking good, but it certainly ain't no Giselle Bunchen. You know what I'm saying? It ain't looking good.
But you forgot Absenz, baby. Absenz is there for the cleanup. INZEM Solurs falls. God's right back in it. 50-point deficit. TJ's on the hunt. Finds one and Reflame might. Oh, there you go. I didn't even get a National Geographic setup there.
Oh, there you
go. Shut down. But there's Crabyys pulling up on TJ. I love this battle between TJ and Crabyys. It's what I expected. It's what I'm getting.
Well, you got to be able to get your trades for your teammates. One of the things that 4v4 is going to make like that much more important is that if you have any help whatsoever or you die in a specific part of the map, your teammate has to be there to trade out with you. What I mean by trade is even if you die, your teammate's got to kill the kid that killed you to not give up but so much lane control, but so much of the map. And you see the flank coming out from Solurs. He tried to come around and try to go for that pinch, tried to get that extra damage in the back and shut them down. Now he's all by himself in that opening, and Crabyys, good little L trigger onto him, will shut him down. 2-1 hill advantage, back over to Gods. And they're 70 seconds away, full minute, 10 seconds from getting a round in the books, another one in the books, excuse me, and take that 2-1 round lead.
Really hoping nobody from Gods challenges TJ at that point in time. They really need to focus down low, and that's exactly what they're going to do. And I love that they didn't go for the OE either. Yeah, they're down a considerable amount of points, but the fact of the matter is they do have the win condition. Now, that should change shortly. I say that, though, TJ will be challenged. Absenz has Solurs on the back pedal, missing a couple of shots, but it should be okay in that 1v2. They'll go ahead and backtrack, get the cap on C, and try and maintain that win condition. I say that, but Noey comes through, takes down Absenz, and goes for the snub onto Reflame. This is a big pushback, and Hive now regains control, not only of the point, well, they had the point lead, excuse me, but the win condition more importantly. So now Gods, they've got to get into desperation mode. They really don't have time to sit back like they just had the luxury of doing before.
Now you see, look at the way that they're pushing up. They're not going to give Gods kind of another chance to rotate around the map. They've started cleaning up these kills. Reflame comes off of spawn and just flies at Noey to try to put one more death into his tally and one more kill on his side of the counter. But, I mean, a 3-minute round comes out. Hive fights back into it and kind of sits back for a while, gets a good point lead, big enough before, even though when Gods got the 2-1 hill advantage, they had to play perfectly. They didn't do that, and they end up losing the round on the backside of that. Now we're going to see Noey rotate down here to those Boltox. I think we're going to see that retro once again. So it looks like that's kind of the meta that's being built out here already. For all you viewers at home, you're going to get those utility pistols out, Boltox and Talon, especially put the Boltox down at the B hill because it gives you a great sight line, and it's a single shot. You got pretty good accuracy. You put a lot of damage on somebody trying to rotate in, then you go for the retro over the Talon.
Yeah, with the weapon trees as they are now, you really don't want to fall behind and allow your opposite team, right, your opponents to get a retro. It's just going to be too devastating, especially with the line of sights that you have here. And we know the retro hits really hard. Talon, though, does have its use, so I'm sure we will see some teams upgrade to retro and then the other ones keep the Talon, but at least we're not going to see that as of yet. Another standstill. We saw this in, round number 1, or round number 2, I do believe it was. But either way, Hive is looking to go ahead and secure this neutral. Absenz trying to connect on the shots with the Boltox, but great pressure down below from INZEM. He'll go ahead and back off. B will get captured, and Gods now has to find a way to go for the retake.
I think what they're going to have to do is Gods are going to have to get somebody through that mid-cut area. You see the top table control has been given up by Hive. They're going to have somebody on the home hill of Gods. They got to get him off first. That's going to be TJ. Grab shot out of Absenz. We'll get him off there. Now Absenz, I don't even know if you go for that cap. You should immediately push up and try to get back into the fight with your teammates because you have that one-man advantage. You have the ability to try to rotate around the map and put some pressure on different people around the map. I know he's going to get taken out down low, but there's the retake, or there's the trade-off by INZEM. INZEM has 2 shots onto him, but there's the Lancer angle. Minus INZEM, though. He got Lancer from the top of the ramp. Good rotations out by Gods. They're going to be able to take over B, and it's going to be a pressurized push onto the A-Hill. Absenz up there, going for a triple cap domination. He actually backs out. He knows he's going to get pressed, but he's got the retro, and he can just keep stepping back and putting damage down and really making everybody just think twice before taking that next step.
You know, I really like the fact that Absenz backed up as he did, right? He at that point in time, Gods knew they were already going to secure the neutral. Hive then goes into just survival mode. They're going to send everybody over towards A, try and push Gods back so the domination doesn't come into effect. At that point in time, now Gods has a good understanding of the positioning and the numbers, where Hive is going to be, and therefore they can set up defensively. I say that, and that all goes to the wayside. That's 3 down, and Reflame now fighting for his life, 1v3. If I'm him, I'm just trying to stay up long enough for the rest of my teammates to get back in. Let's not forget unlimited respawns, and either way though, Hive, they're going to just look to secure the victory now. I don't even know if Crabyys can get there. He can't. Hive will take that win. Again, I'm seeing, you know, glimmers here and there of Gods playing so very well, and then it's just Hive with their retake ability. Given their teamwork and just how well they're fitting together, it's so hard for Gods to just kind of, you know, readjust themselves and shut them down.
I think one of the things that always comes into effect is Hive has really shown me they're not afraid to pull out their Lancer and get some of these angles. Right up there at top table, Reflame was still holding top table control, and what you saw was one of them pull into that mid-cut, that ramp that goes up into that cubby corner, and it gives you just a little sight line to get maybe 3, 4, 5 bullets on somebody before they rotate out of there. And that extra 3, 4, 5 bullets, those extra little nerdy angles that Hive keeps pulling out onto the side of Gods and really puts the pressure on them, that has made all the difference in the world in this matchup, and it's why they're 3-1 up right now, staring 2 rounds away from a 2-0 victory over Gods. INZEM's going to get caught, though, by the flame. Is he?
Whoa.
I was going to say, INZEM's too hot. He's too hot to handle, too cold to hold, baby. That's all. That's all.
He found that pixel, man, where he just wasn't getting touched, man. That's just repetition. Just overall playability. Crabyys and Reflame up, but I don't know what they can do. Hive looking to go in for that domination again. TJ found a little angle through to go ahead and get on that 3rd hill. He's going to be challenged Boltox. Great shots onto Addvers. No worries. And look at how calm he was in that engagement, man. I mean, he was just hitting shots left and right and gets the finish easily. And Hive takes that round in 55 seconds, 4-1. We're about to go back-to-back maps, 5-1 victories.
I mean, looking like Bob Lee, Swagger, John Wick, looking like, I mean, just anybody you could think of that's an absolute assassin. They didn't even sweat. If that was me, my hands would have been shaking. I'd have probably had 2 or 3 heart attacks. I'd have needed a few stints in my heart. Like, he's flying at me, man. He's flying at me, but nope. He said they're like, pop 1, rechamber, pop 2, rechamber, pop 3, reload the cylinder, and I'm back in business, baby.
There it is. Long shots down. I was waiting for a power weapon to get placed. Literally, same round it got the drop shot got placed, right? Whenever TJ got that quick pick on Harbor. I don't think it changes that much. Obviously, you do have to command attention to that. The Incense are going to have an effect there. Regardless, though, Gods has to... honestly, their initials haven't been too bad. It's just kind of been mid and late game. That's where Hive kind of figures out the map positioning and just kind of takes over control. Look at TJ, though, getting aggressive, getting up close and personal. He knows Addvers may have that instant, but no worries, as Noey does go down. Now TJ's going to be able to lance her out. He's got a player down below. Crabyys will drop, and now TJ can force his attention up top on Addvers.
And TJ's going to take this bottom table, and he's going to get lancered out from that cubby corner. That was the angle we were talking about earlier. Reflame had a good little sight line on him, was able to help lancer him down. That's going to give Addvers that long shot. And I want to see if Addvers can find himself a free haircut on somebody. First shot is going to go by the wayside, just a bit outside right. Looking like Vince Vaughn, or looking like Vaughn before he can get it. Now another shot goes wide. Come on now, Addvers. You gonna pick the scope up, baby. You better start hitting some shots. All right, there you go. That's two good ones. That's two good ones.
He heard you. He heard you. He hit those shots, man. He doesn't want to make Colin mad. Ooh, Crabyys. Good angle. But not enough to actually help his teammate out. Absenz down low, though, on the TJ. INZEM now is going to be pushed across H and gets absolutely ran through. INZEM, a great kill. And he's, I think, going for, he's going to go ahead and head over towards F for the overextension to maybe close out that deficit a little bit. A lot of moving pieces here. But Gods kind of got a lot of presence here in mid, I would say. Reflame now goes for the push onto Noey. Noey pushed back in a clutch position. Reflame will take him down. I don't know, man. It's like Gods, again, they have a lot of glimmer. It's like, they look really good, but then it's just when does Hive flip the script?
Just one shot on INZEM trying to hit somebody. Oh my God, boy, 1 out of 6. I ain't no good at math, but that ain't a percentage you ever want to have somebody call out on you when we got you live under the bright lights and on the big stage. Reflame rotates down on the Solurs, but Solurs said, boy, I'm going to shut you down. I'm going to shut at least one of y'all down. I'm going to take one of y'all to the grave with me. If I'm going to hell, you fight demons right alongside me.
1 and 6, looking like my high school GPA. Noey onto Addvers. Big facts, brother. Crabyys just going to go ahead and go into clutch position again. Can't do it. Every time I look at those players getting caught up there, they just drop. You'll see some exciting two pieces up in that location, but hasn't been at least this map. Absenz onto Noey. Instant out to go ahead and single out that 1v2. Good movement. TJ on the opposite end. The pickups there. And Absenz then goes in. And unfortunately, we'll drop Reflame is there onto TJ. Great teamwork there in that fight. It's a close round. This is probably the closest round. Actually, this is the closest round we've had as of yet.
I was gonna say this is riding the lightning edge right now, and you see Noey coming off a respawn. Love that Lancer angle right there from Crabyys. Reflame tries to get one shot on, not gonna be able to find it. Crabyys gonna rotate down. That's a beautiful down. He hits the body shot. Sometimes you ain't gotta get headshots with the sniper. Sometimes hitting him in the body is just as good, baby.
Love it, man. Able to single out INZEM. Oh, but INZEM clutches up. Huge plays as Addvers now. Last up for Gods. Hive looking to lock this in at the last second. They can do it. They've done it before. TJ Fearless pushing in. He knew he needed to get a touch. It's not going to happen, though, and it looks like Gods is going to be able to hold on unless INZEM can just get this 1v4. He can't. There's only so much one man can do, and Gods will stay alive a little bit longer. 2-4.
Hey, look, we got a nice little smiley face for you in the round counter. You see that? Gods has got the 2 outside. We got the nice little smiley face. It's pretty. It's pretty. All right, look, we're smiling because Gears Esports is back. You're smiling because these teams are putting on a show for everybody. It's a good night. It's a good day for some Gears Esports. One of the things I need to point out from that last round, though, one of the things that really keeps Gods, it's almost living and dying by it. They want 1Vs, but they don't want any extra Lancer help. They want to be able to put pressure onto Hive without having Hive have anybody else in the fight. That's why you kept seeing the likes of Reflame and Addvers press up onto people. It's almost like they're playing like a man-to-man coverage, and they're playing press. They're right up in your grill. They're trying to knock you off your spot, not allow anybody to be able to help you over the top. Now you see TJ push back in. And TJ's going to take this 1v. He said, Addvers, you want it? We're going to go all day with it. 3 shots, 3 L triggers. He gets the down. He pulled that snub out. I mean, my God, he was ready to push back in and try to get that extra last couple of shots in to get that down. Looks like they're going to go for the triple cap domination. It looks like nobody's going to be in the area. Is he going to make it there? No. Not in time. They go down 5-2 because they caught 2 of them in no man's land and hit him with the Mr. Krabs. That's a laugh, baby. That's the Mr. Krabs laugh. Mr. Krabs laugh for you. That Mr. Krabs laugh, baby. You know what I'm
I'm
saying?
disgusted with you,
My
brother. I
man.
really did. You're not holding back this time. I wanted to say, though, before that round was so rudely cut off so quickly, TJ felt really confident to go ahead and apply that pressure forward on Addvers. And the reason why is because he knew that the disable on the instant came out. So Gods didn't have the instant. He knew that he can apply that pressure without the risk of being instantly taken down by the Flames. So he read that position perfectly. The experience came through. It wasn't a 5-1, but it's 5-2 overall. That makes for 2 maps, 10-3 overall round count. A very impressive victory for Hive, and they will secure their spot in grand finals to play against Fire and Ice. You know, for Gods, you know, I'm not going to lie. There are bits and pieces where they do look solid. They look strong. I think if they clean it up, they really go back to the drawing board, figure out, like, all right, where do our setups need to be? Maybe establish more of a role, I guess, a little bit more teamwork. I think they could be okay, but Hive really proved themselves during the series, and they look really good. I was excited to watch them, and I'm excited to watch them again in grand finals. They're going to be a formidable opponent to FNI.
This is one of those things, I'm going to continue to say this, and I'm going to harp on it all night. Teams have got to realize that in 4v4, the Lancer help is needed, especially in Gears 5. Taking all these 1vs, trying to make it all about, I'm going to man up and take you out, is never going to come back like really in your favor round after round. And I can't say it enough. People need to know what it means, especially going forward. I mean, you can see it on Hive's gameplay already. They understand a little nerdy angle here, maybe a shot or two there. It's going to win you those fights. It's going to make your life, it's going to make the opposing team's life harder later in the rounds. So Gods, what they need to do is clean it up. It looks like they got through their bracket, maybe on the backs of that gameplay. Maybe they played a bunch of people that were willing to take those fights. Not Hive, not today.